to me. So what now he's saying here in the 8th verse, he says, I want excellency of knowledge, or superior when it comes to understanding of Christ Jesus my Lord. And then notice what he says, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and I do count them but dung, that I may win Christ. What is he saying? He says there are some things in your life that when you look at them and you were sticking your chest out and you were so proud about them, he says you have to learn to devalue those things in order to value your relationship with God. Let me say it another way. If then I have too much value in this, then my value in that becomes so much until I devalue my hunger and my thirst for righteousness. But then when I have a value for God, then I devalue stuff. Lord have mercy. David had worked so hard when it came to attaining then the kingdom and accomplishing God's will. And he had a big house, and he had a big castle, and he had armies, and he had material things. But then when his relationship got serious and things got under threat, David makes the statement. He says, you can take everything away from me, but don't take your spirit. Or in other words, I have now found value in a place that I never thought that I would find value. My peace and my joy and my deliverance is all in your spirit. And if you take your spirit away from me, then I'm walking around a big house empty. I'm driving a wonderful car but not feeling fulfilled. I am having a whole bunch of people pat me on the back, but I feel void in my life. And the reason being is because it is necessary for me to have your presence and your spirit in my life. So God, if you take everything away from me, I don't mind what you take, but just don't take your spirit, because your spirit becomes necessary for my survival. I wish I was helping somebody here. Let's look at this. Oh, Lord have mercy. Somebody holler, I need his spirit. He said, so everything else is dung, or everything else is devalued. Everything else is devalued so that I can gravitate towards the presence and the Spirit of God. That's what is most important to me. So if somebody says your car got stolen, insurance will cover that. It'll be all right. Your house burned down. Don't worry about it. Everything will be all right. But what happens when I don't have God anymore? Lord have mercy. Friends come and go. Family come and go. You know, Lord have mercy. Family can be a trip and they'll come and go. Child of God, that's not my concern. My concern is, God, are you still in my life? Lord have mercy. If I go to the hospital by myself, I need to know that I can still get in contact with you. I need you covering me in a way that I cannot cover myself. So he says something here. Watch what he says. He says, look at the 9th verse. He says, and be found in him. Everybody say with me, in him. Not having my own righteousness, which is of the law, but that which is through the faith of Christ, the righteousness which is of God by faith. Everybody say with me, by faith. Watch what he says here. He says here, he says, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you in circumstances that makes you trust me. I'll let it sink. He said, I'm going to put you in a situation that's going to make you trust me. How many has ever complained to God and you said, God, you're not fair? Talk to me. Don't be playing. I mean, you told God you're not fair, and then you felt like a tattletale, because you were like, okay, you know, how come you doing this to me and look at over there? You didn't do this to them. Look at Jan. Jan's not living like I'm living, and you're letting her prosper. And look at me, I'm struggling. But you said you're no respected person. I'm just saying. And what happens is that I need you to understand that the sovereignty of God and fair has no business being in the same room. You cannot have God's sovereignty and what's fair in the same place. Y'all don't like it. What is sovereign, Pastor? Sovereign says God is able to do whatever he wants to do whenever he gets ready to do it, how he wants to do it, and he doesn't have to ask you or tell you nothing. How many's experienced sovereignty? Because you're going through something, he ain't talking and they ain't saying nothing. And you praying and he's like, I'm sovereign. What you gonna do? All right? So now watch this. If you're complaining about fair, he says fair is not in the same room with my sovereignty, because my sovereignty is not fair. My sovereignty is my will. So now I'm going to put you in something that is not fair. I'm going to acknowledge it's not fair. Yes, I'm going to acknowledge that. But I'm put you in it anyway. Let me tell you why. Because the outcome is going to be more fair than you think. So even though right now it doesn't seem to be fair, I'm pushing you to trust me. Because trusting me causes you to walk by faith and not by sight. And if I walk by faith and not by sight, then I understand that God is not going to explain to me what he's doing. Isaiah picked it up. He said, your ways are not our ways. Your thoughts are not our thoughts, and they're beyond finding out. So God reserves the right not to tell you what he's going to surprise you with in the end.